I dare you to try to keep up with this guy. Songwriter, singer, guitarist extraordinaire, shredder, TikToker, YouTuber, forget every Instagram, social media. You will not believe this.
He is best known for being the guitarist of the bands Dope Throne, Vatican, as well as being the frontman to his self-titled band, Polychuck.
You won't want to miss this. Welcome to Basebin TV. Thomas Polychuck.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
It's an honor. Thank you for this beautiful introduction.
Thank you. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation with us.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on your show, man.
Super awesome. Listen, you are a local here now in Montreal, right?
Yep.
I first was introduced to you by you coming to rehearse here.
Yeah.
But when I first heard your music, it was more on the country style.
Oh yeah, it's evolved a lot throughout the years. It
Big
has
time.
changed. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Is there any type of like reason why? What were your influences from going from country to where you are now? Because of people that recognize you're more of a progressive, metal on that side. So how did you go from country to that?
It's a good question. I started with metal. That was my thing. I started, being a guitar player, shredder, whatever. And by the way, Dope Throne, you mentioned Dope Throne. They became quite big, but I wasn't that bad. Not playing guitar, actually, I was playing drums. So that might surprise you.
So multi-instrumentalist.
I guess, yeah. But back then, I guess 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I was in the metal scene, extreme metal, all that stuff. But then at some point, I wanted to start writing my own music, so writing my own songs. So I just thought, I felt like I was compelled to write songs with an acoustic guitar, and it just turned out to sound good and sound kind of country-ish, folk-ish. So that's how I was kind of introduced to writing my own songs and writing lyrics and all that. But there was always kind of something missing. I wanted to add more instruments, synths, and all that. So then it started with kind of country rock, and then it evolved into that with some shred, some guitar shred, and some keyboards and all that. And I always felt like there was something missing. So then I started to add like odd time signatures and drum solos and all that. And now it is what it is. Just a lot of difficult music.
Talking about where you came from, as I mentioned, I was going in a deep dive of your socials, and I came across a photo that you posted. I don't know what age you are, probably like under 5, maybe.
Okay.
And you're playing a left-handed guitar.
Okay.
And you had said something. You said apparently you had started left-handed, and then once you got your first real guitar, you switched over to right.
Did you see a picture of me holding like a toy guitar?
Yeah.
It was like, bro, I didn't even know
It was
if
just
I
upside
should
down,
hold
too.
Yeah, it was just like. But yeah, that was my first guitar, actually.
Really?
It made sound, and apparently my parents, I was like 3 on that picture, 3 or 4. I don't even remember. But my parents told me it was my favorite toy. Really, I always had that in my hands. I would carry it everywhere. So at 6, my dad, was it 6 or 7? I think it was, no, it was 6. He bought me a real half-scale guitar. And I started learning chords and all that. So by age 7 or 8, I could play like Cat Stevens and all that.
Oh, so we didn't start out with progressive metal.
No,
okay.
no. But my dad was into prog rock, in the 70s. He's a bit of a prog dad,
Was he like Gentle Giant stuff?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Maybe not that much. That's really, like, Gentle Giant is really, really crazy. He was not that much of a nerd, but
yeah. Sorry to all my Gentle Giant fans.
I love Gentle Giant. I'm a big fan.
That are some friends of mine.
No,
Sorry,
I'm a big nerd.
Yeah,
but yeah. No. So like Led Zeppelin, the proggier songs of Led Zeppelin,
right.
ELP, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Now, you're known for your guitar skills.
Yeah.
You're known for being a shredder. Were you self-taught? Did you go to school for this? How did you get to where you are now?
It's a funny yes and no.
Okay.
Like it's a funny journey that I had. I started with chords, like basic chords, Cat Stevens, that kind of stuff, which my dad taught me because it's all he knew. He was doing it very well, but it's all he knew. And then by age like 12 or 11, 12, I'd heard Metallica, Kill 'Em All. And that was a revelation. It was like, whoa, okay. I didn't even know guitarists could, it was possible to even do that. And, we were in like probably 99 or 90, probably like 99 or 2000. So there was, shredders. It was a thing. I just didn't know like they existed, like Yngwie Malmsteen and all the 80s guys, the Shrapnel Records. It was a thing. It already existed. I was just not aware of it.
Guitar Player magazine, Guitar for the Practicing Musician, all of those music mags that had actual tablature for shredders.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my generation. I had a pile of like Guitar for the Practicing Musician like stacked up.
Yeah.
If you didn't know how to play a minor arpeggio, you couldn't play in a band in my days. Like I had a Charvel guitar. I was literally a guitar player growing up.
Yeah.
And I switched over to bass later in life, but guitar was, you had to be able to play, you had to be able to rip, and you had to be able to play, at least play arpeggios. I wasn't a super shredder, but I could like hold my own, and I had to learn how to do sweep picking.
Yeah.
If I didn't play sweep picking, I literally probably couldn't have played in a band.
Yeah, it was like you had like the punks. If you like are not that great, you can play in a punk band. But if you want to play in a rock band, you got to be able to sweep and rip. It's like like bands like Extreme, or like they were just like pop rock or whatever. But the guitarist,
Nuno is it's another level.
It's So you I guess you're right. You had to be.
But it's funny because you're mentioning somebody like Nuno. Nuno is pretty much all self-taught. He doesn't understand the chords that he's actually playing. He's not theory-based at all. He can stand up with, the best of them. Yeah. But you're very much schooled.
Yeah, but later in life. Yeah. So
much later,
So when I was introduced to that shred stuff, I was like, whoa, okay, I want to learn to play like that. But there was no... Like there was shred magazines, but there was no YouTube and all that. And there was no on the internet. There was a little bit of stuff, tabs that people made with like, it looked like computer codes and all that.
It was literally fingering. It was 1, 2, 3, 4.
Before guitartabs.com or whatever.
It was, I don't even remember the websites. It was like super obscure anyways. But
tablature wasn't music, but there was tablature for guitar.
Yeah. I didn't know how to read music. I didn't know how to, and I wanted more. I wanted more than just shredding. I had reached like the plateau of
your physical technique, but now you want to understand what you were doing.
What I was doing, and I even wanted to go beyond what beyond the scales that we all hear all the time, the minor and the major.
Beyond what you could imagine.
Pentatonic. I went to audition for the jazz program at University of Montreal.
Cool.
And originally they didn't accept me because I couldn't read music. I had failed the test for music dictation. So they were like, but it's tough. It's especially for somebody who doesn't read music. You gotta kind of figure it out. If you have a good ear and you understand a little bit, you can kind of understand the intervals and all that. So, but it's tough. So they proposed that I do like a course, mise à niveau, that they called
equivalence to the type of course there to get you up to speed.
Exactly, it's because they want students. Once I started, I was surrounded with musicians that had been playing jazz and, that had gone to CJEB, and the way they understood music was completely different. But I worked hard and I studied and now I know a little more than I did when I started. A little bit more,
Now you've not only mastered your guitar, but you've also mastered your marketing skills in promoting yourself on social media sites.
Yeah.
So was this haphazard? Did you just like fall upon like, oh, I posted something and oh, that works? Or was that literally like, I have a plan and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to attack social media by storm and do it like that?
It just happened with COVID. Everybody and especially the beginning of TikTok kind of happened at the same time as COVID hit. So everybody was on TikTok. Right. Everybody. So you had a lot of. It was easy to have organic reach with TikTok. All you had to do was just post a lot and post stuff that people are interested in.
Right.
Because you've now amassed, I was checking, and across social platforms, you've amassed something like 110,000+ followers.
Yeah, maybe.
Just from posting what you like, what you want to see.
Pretty much.
So you kind of used like a lot of the techniques of saying, well, I'm not seeing this. Nobody's really talking about this. And I'd like to know more about this. I'm sure other people would like to know more about this also. So you sort of like just, well, I'm going to just shoot myself, you know, and do that. Yeah, so how natural did that come to actually first start posting and talking to the camera as opposed to posting things about marketing, you know, like your band, new song coming out, blah, 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 playing at this club. That's a totally different type of marketing. Yeah. Now you're literally looking at the camera and saying, hey, guys, check this out. How comfortable was that for you? Was that a huge transition from?
Well, there's something I understood with, I'm not a marketing genius by no means. I'm just, but there's something I understood and that turned out to work for me. What would make me want to, you know, go and follow that page and go and, oh, that guy's cool. I want to see what, you know, what he has in store. I want to listen to his music. Right. What would make me want to do that?
Right.
So I posted and I decided to give to the people what I would have liked to see.
Right. But you've also understood the importance of like not wasting time when you're posting things. And like within the first 5 seconds, you understand why you're on that page, who you're watching.
That's really important.
And what it's all about.
Exactly.
First 5 seconds.
First 5 seconds. Know. Even less than that.
Yeah.
How fast do you scroll? Like how fast do people scroll? It's got to, you know, catch your attention really fast.
Do you think that was like something that you had to learn, that you were watching your videos and maybe going, maybe I should speed things up again? Were you self-editing yourself at times after watching? And how has it changed from the time where you first started posting on TikTok to now?
Well, the cool thing is that because we all do everything ourselves now on social media, you can see what works and what doesn't. And you can just go, what works, you'll know right away because it'll go viral. People will like it. People will share it.
Right.
And that's the cool thing about the algorithms. People talk about the algorithms. Oh, the algorithm is screwing me over, blah, blah, blah. But no, really, the algorithm, if you know how to use it, you don't have to agree with it. If you don't like it, then that's fine. Don't expect it to work for you.
Right.
But the algorithm is going to show you the things you post that are aligned with, you know, what people want on those platforms.
Sure.